Welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. We are your guide to personal recovery, whether you're dealing with an addiction, a mental health issue, or maybe you're just trying to figure some things out in life. We empower your growth through candid conversations and demystifying the process of therapy. I'm Manny Romero, Jesse O.
This week we talk about something that's been popped up in the media, the Smith Saga, Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, and how we role model good relationships.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel, enjoy the show, and share the show if you find some value. Here we go.
Unique New York. Are we starting? We are.
Yeah,
okay.
we are.
What's going on, man?
What's up? What? Wait, what? What'd you say? Unique New York?
It's it's like when you practice before you do like public speaking or even singing, like you do like a vocal warm up. I stole that from Ron Burgundy.
I like it.
You ever, Ron Burgundy?
I think I do. Yeah.
He was a San Diego broadcaster.
Oh yeah, Santiago.
Santiago.
Yeah, for
Whale's
sure.
vagina. Hey, what's that big bucket of water you got over there? Is that in the camera view? Boy, this guy needs his water. He's dehydrated at all
Look at
times.
that. This is
That's
called
not-
holistic wellness right here.
Can you say that one more time?
Holistic wellness.
Can you hashtag that?
Yeah.
Could be something that would get us some views?
Yeah.
Hashtag what?
Water.
Or hashtag liquid death. Promote us.
How are you, man?
I'm good, man.
When is this being released? December?
No.
What are you getting your daughter for Christmas?
November. This will be in November.
I should have asked you that in the December episode.
My daughter said mac and cheese the other day for the first.
Oh,
that was
easy.
mac and cheese?
Dude, I'll give you some mac and cheese for Christmas. I will. I'll go get you some.
Like boxes?
Yeah, they're
Craft?
in sale. Yeah, some craft. Actually, I will make you. I make a mean mac and cheese with shrimp.
With some shrimp in it?
Yeah, or
Okay.
lobster. What do you want?
Okay, lobster mac.
Yeah.
With a
You don't
box,
trust
though.
me, do you?
No,
You rolled
I
your
don't.
eyes.
Actually, I probably did roll it multiple times.
Dude, it was once and it was great. And I can make biscuits and gravy.
It was
which I
once
know you
and
like.
it was great? Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah. I know you like biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
So, this is airing probably around like Thanksgiving time.
Okay.
So,
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Or maybe before that.
Well, happy before Thanksgiving.
I
to
hope
you.
this is before Thanksgiving. This is airing in March of 2025. So, when it comes to Thanksgiving, are you a pie guy?
I think I like pecan pie. Pecan?
Either one works.
Are you sure? You
Caramel or
judge- Caramel. Yeah, but apple pie, not really my thing. Pumpkin pie, not really my thing.
Yeah.
I like the crust, but
I like a lot of Cool Whip on mine.
You like the pumpkin pie, don't you?
The whiter the pie, the better.
Yeah. Nice. You
I
like
don't know.
the coconut cream pie?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Do you like coconut cream
I do.
pie?
We talked about this in a past episode.
Yeah, is that just for your birthday though, or do
Yeah.
you do that for Thanksgiving?
We did a whole episode on this. We're not going backwards. We're going forwards, everybody. So this week, Mr. Therapist and the Counselor,
Yes.
we're not going to talk about water anymore. We're going to talk about something that's been recently shared in the media. This is what we do in this podcast here, though, is we try to look at like current events. Might be like entertainment. It could be something in sports.
Yeah.
Could be something just a social event.
And just for full disclosure, me and Jesse, we had this conversation beforehand. We feel a little icky having this conversation.
Well,
Just-
here's the
right?
thing.
Like, be honest about that.
Yeah, I was. It's like part of me wants I want eyes on the podcast. I want people to pay attention to the podcast. So we have talked about certain celebrity topics. We did one like we recorded a podcast not too long ago, and I think I said something about Taylor Swift, and I was just like, I wasn't trying to, part of me wasn't like, oh crap, now I could put hashtag Taylor Swift in the podcast. But it's just something that's current, and we're talking about current events, and we're tying in, we're talking about mental health and also, once again, addiction. But people go into therapy and they talk about events that are in the environment right now, and media plays a huge part in why we feel certain things. Unfortunately, often it's motivating our mental health, and the discomfort in certain things. So like when something comes up in the media, I think it is important to talk about with a therapeutic perspective on it.
Yeah.
So,
and I think like growing up, we're talking about. You introduced Will Smith already, right? The topic,
we haven't really. We did at the very intro
yeah.
of it. We said the Smith scandal or the Smith. What did we call it?
Yeah, the Smith Saga.
And that was good.
But
Smith #Smith Saga.
That was my idea.
That was good.
But I will
the other
say,
one wasn't. But
I'm a big advocate for this. Like, we grow up with relationships, right? And so the role models we have for healthy relationships are our parents, right? And so,
right.
And for my parents, they didn't have a very healthy relationship. They had some things that were healthy, but they had some things that weren't. And,
mine too. Yeah.
And I would say most of it wasn't really healthy. So, like, for people like me that didn't have that good role model, sometimes we're looking for good role models, right? And so what's accessible out there is maybe like aunts, uncles, it's maybe like people in the media, it's maybe what you read on TV or what you read on online, what you look at TV. So sometimes you have these like things that influence what a relationship is supposed to be like or what it's not supposed to be like. And I think we have on this platform of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor where we can kind of talk about this from the point of view of a licensed marriage and family therapist and from the point of view of a drug and alcohol counselor.
So one thing too, like I guess one thing you were saying that this whole white picket fence mentality is like growing up, like I had like a view of like what a happy marriage or relationship or a family looked like. And a lot of it was what was in front of me. It was the TV screen growing up. So to me, like when I saw that, I was like, that's what everybody is like, because you don't get to go inside people's houses and see what they're talking about and what they're experiencing. You think stuff inside the home is so like, this isn't right. Like
Did you feel that way? Did you feel like my house is how it's supposed to be? Or did you feel like, no, there's something not right with mine when you were growing up?
That's a really good question. I don't know if there probably came a point in time when I started to finally go, okay, this isn't right, or I should probably play the role so people don't catch on the what's really going on inside this house. I can't tell you the moment where I was like, this is not the I was gonna say like a Leave It to Beaver. That's like very old reference, but like growing up in the 50s and 60s, I think there was this concept of like, this is like mom, dad, brother, sister, or brother, whatever. So like, it was, it's that mentality is so different now, but like I'm really outdating myself. But no, I'm skating around. I'm not trying to skate around. I just don't have a real answer. I don't know.
I think I grew up thinking that like the way my family was normal. And I think a lot of our extended family looked up to our family, to my parents, because they were able to stay married even though they didn't have the best relationship. They're able to stay married and like stay together, and they essentially raised two good kids, behaviorally good kids that like went to school and graduated. So they looked up. So I think I always had this sense of like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be done. And even some of the unhealthy things that happened in my family, I felt like this is how it's supposed to be. Right.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. That's what you see, and then you kind of start to buy in and believe that. Yeah. So I wanted to bring up this topic because, like I said, I think it was important to what's just what we talk about here on the concept of this show here. So I wanted to talk about what was going on with Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith.
Yeah.
Their relationship's extremely public because they're celebrities. I think the biggest thing that came out first was during the whole Oscar thing when Will Smith like got up his chair. Chris Rock made like a joke towards Jada Pinkett and ended up striking Chris Rock, right? So their marriage has been very public, as most couples are in the media. There's been discussions of them having an open marriage.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did the quotations right there, but it is. They've said it's open marriage. They've been, like a lot of people have said, like, why haven't they divorced? And they've been very strong on, like, we're not going to divorce. Very, like, we're together, united, as probably most couples would be, right? In the face of, like, people, like, being against that marriage, right, or negative on a marriage. And there was even this whole, like, cheating scandal with Jada Pinkett Smith. She ended up having an affair with her son's friend. Okay. They have a son together, her and Will.
Yeah.
And then so this started to bother me in some ways as I started to see Jada as like the enemy. I saw this woman I felt was being like very manipulative. Now this is just my perspective, right? So I started to see like they had this whole show. She has this whole show. It's kind of like I think it's supposed to be like a talk show. It's supposed to like focus on like mental health and different things, right? And I remember seeing this thing where like Will Smith came on the show, and I'm straight up, I didn't want to watch the whole show because I was like, man, Will's just going on the show and looking like a damn fool. That's what I was like feeling. But like she's talking to him about like, first off, she called the cheating an entanglement. And I was like, that's a fancy word to make it sound like not as bad, right? Like, oh, I didn't cheat on you. There's just an entanglement. I was like, shit, I should use that down the way if I need to.
What does that even mean?
I don't even know. Like, our bodies were entangled in each other's, like, places. So, like, my penis was entangled in your vagina? Like, I don't even know. So, right? But, like, so I heard this, and I saw Will, like, breaking down crying, and, and then... So recently, like, she came out and just said, like, I think she said that they haven't been together for a while after being very strong and like saying our marriage is, we're together, we're united, but like they've been living separate lives for years. So I guess I just saw this narrative of this person in the media, and it struck a nerve with me because I was telling you, it was like maybe being manipulative in the past, and I can turn it on if I start to fall back into like old behaviors. But I saw this person being manipulative, and I was like, does anybody not see this person for what they are? Yeah. Like, I was like, can't they smell? I could smell my own kind here is what I'm trying to say. So it was really making me feel uncomfortable.
Like you feel like you see yourself in
her yeah, in some ways, in like in past relationships of making it seem like it's okay to treat people that way. Now, this is just, once again, this is a guy who doesn't know these people, who has an opinion, which is pretty common for a lot of people that watch entertainment and social media. But it was bothering me, and I also saw a lot of men like speak up for Will Smith, and they seem to be bothered by Jada's actions. And from my perspective as well, I think it was like Will Smith is really seen in the black community, African American community, as somebody like who has a real strong presence. And I think they saw this man not being a man, like almost being taken advantage by his woman, or kind of like bowing down to what she's doing and how she's treating him. So
I've heard a lot of that because I did a little research because
I told you to, right?
Because you're so controlling.
Yep.
And I'm
the Jada here. There's not about it.
And so I did a little research, and so there is a lot of people sharing the opinion of like feeling like he is sort of going along with this, and almost upset at him for not standing up for himself, and upset at her for being manipulative and controlling. And like, I don't know, I guess one thing to understand about this relationship is that they're famous. Like they like it is not, I think just that gives this feature an atypical relationship that I can't really relate to.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or even the common person can't really relate to, because the eyes are on you. Like, Will Smith is a very prominent figure and very loved and admired by a lot of people, right? And so Jada Pinkett Smith, honestly, I don't even remember hearing about her before the Oscars thing. I'm sure she's famous and she's been in shows and whatnot. I'm just not up to all the pop culture, but
kind of refreshing.
Yeah, but she's still a famous public figure individual, right? So there is the pressure of like, part of me wonders like what's guiding their answers or their responses to being like, we're united. Maybe it is the pressure of like, we want to look like good people, we want to look like a good family, which a lot of families carry, right? Like you just said earlier, the white picket fence sometimes on the inside is different than what it looks like on the outside, right? But you always, as a family, you have that pressure to show that things are good here, and we're okay, we're a good family. So I guess that's one thing that kind of comes to mind, is like how this relationship is a little bit different than maybe the typical relationship that you'll have.
Before I asked you, as like being a married, you're LMFT, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and you work with all kinds of different clients with different backgrounds, different experiences, different problems. You could work with somebody who has an addiction problem. You could have somebody who has like severe trauma, grief, and loss. You work with couples, right? Before I ask you like a couple like perspective on somebody like that could be going what they're going through similarly, like a similar experience, I wanted to bring up another thing that like I don't know, this woman is very triggering for me, and I wanted to ask you this question before the one that I just mentioned. But I remember reading about this as Jada Pinkett Smith, or Jada Pinkett, whenever she was really close with Tupac, They had like a really good relationship. I think I even read somewhere in the media where she said like Tupac was kind of like the love of her life. And I don't know if that's completely true, that statement, but I thought about the idea of like, have you ever seen anybody that was in a relationship where you had the partner that said that they were with somebody who is their love of their life and it wasn't you? Have you ever dealt with a couple that's and how would you deal with that? Like, both of us are married. If we had a partner, we knew somebody was significantly more important to them, or at least they've mentioned that. Could you have a healthy relationship with that weighing on your relationship?
I mean, it's hard for me to. I think healthy relationship is subjective. It's subjective to the eye of the beholder, right?
Right.
So I think everyone has a different definition of what that means. I've seen people who are in open relationships where like they legitimately they're okay with you sleeping with other people, dating other people.
How do people not get impacted by that?
I think the emotions do get impacted. There's just a tolerance for that, right? Like so I don't know. I think in terms of people considering, or considering an ex like someone really important in their lives, yeah, I think there's what I can say about that is like it'd be normal to be jealous about something like that. It would be normal for that to hit you in the gut as a partner, hearing your partner say that, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with you like feeling upset about that. Or
I was gonna say, I think there's something wrong with somebody saying that.
Yeah, maybe
I'd be like, I'm fucking out.
But
if I'm not the one,
but that's subjective to you, right? And it's subjective to me too. Like don't get me wrong, if my wife was like talking to me about like her ex and
her ex Easy, who was in a biker gang, right? Was like, he's the love of my life,
exactly.
But like we're together, right?
Yeah, and I would be jealous, and I'm a jealous individual, and I'd be like, man, like that really hurts my feelings, right? So yeah, absolutely. But I think it would be unfair for us to say that like nobody should tolerate that.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just speaking from my own feelings.
Yeah.
Like that, that's a red flag right there. So.
Yeah, and like if that were to happen, like how do you even address something like that? Is like where my mind goes, right? Of like, I think it's healthy to have a conversation about that. Like whenever your partner says something that hurts you or that makes you feel invalidated or like that kind of that hurts you a little bit, have a conversation, but be honest about that. Like, hey, that like I don't appreciate that, or that doesn't make me feel very good, right? And
I
kind of call it out, like
shut that down real quick.
Yeah, so I think like maybe even some people are like upset at will. I think the people that have strong opinions about this relationship, we gotta be honest about like, why is it triggering you? Like, what is it about your experiences that this brings up, right? And kind of, and that's a good thing. Like, it's like, okay, cool. Like, how can we deal with this? Or even being aware that this shows up for you, and being able to work on it a little bit.
Would you say, based on like what I've shared, and I know you didn't have to do a lot of research on it, I did more of the research. Would you say how about in your experience, would you say often Jada would be the male and then Will would be the female? Do you see more cases where it's the opposite, or am I just being sexist here, which I tend to be, because I tend to think the dudes are scum of the earth and then the women are like just great?
I would say that that in my experience, I have seen more of the guy being the person who cheats and who controls and who is manipulative, for sure. But again,
stereotype for the win, right?
That's my family, right?
Yeah,
I'm not giving that clinically, like, clinically speaking, studies show that, guys.
Right.
I don't know
numbers
that.
on this one. So.
Yeah, but I also will say that, like, I think there's a narrative out there that guys fit this mold, and a part of me is almost kind of like, it's good to like have a W for the gentleman, right? And be like
women are bad too.
Yeah, in the sense, not like women are bad too, but like we're not.
Women cheat too. Women are dishonest too. Yeah.
It's not just guys that kind of like screw up, which I think sometimes guys are painted in a negative light, and so. Yeah, I don't know. That's my my answer to that. I don't know if I answered it.
I just want to make sure everybody knows, and we're going to use this clip on the reels, that Mr. Therapist says women are just as worse as men. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. But it's funny that you said the narrative, because I heard another thing when I was looking through articles was like Jada was like talking about like, I'm going to take my narrative back by like, and by maybe changing these words of like my cheating was an entanglement, like almost like I don't know, it's like we're kind of dismissive of her being dishonest by her being so brutally honest now, and I'm just like, that is such a manipulation tactic if I've ever seen it. But so kind of moving off this subject onto like, you know, other relationships, like you had some things that you wanted to talk about regarding relationships, right? And like how it can.
Yeah, I think just like what this story kind of brings up to me, some some good content and topics to talk about with this story is the idea of infidelity. Like, just cheating happens in relationships. It happens a lot, and the idea of like of manipulation, or how do you like recover from infidelity. I think a lot of times I'll have people ask, like, after you've been cheated on, like, can you actually make it work? And
you've seen it.
Yeah, like it can happen.
How does that work? I feel like most times when trust is gone, I feel like the relationship is pretty much done. I don't want to say pretty much done, but
I think
once again, this is my perspective. But
I think you have the right to choose if you want to be done, right? Like, and everyone is different, and I think it takes a lot of work to repair a relationship. Will things ever be the same? Probably not, right? Like, but I think it takes the commitment to learn how to deal with the memory of the infidelity. If you want to work on a relationship where there's been cheating, you're going to have to deal with like that coming up from time to time in your relationship, and how are you guys going to deal with it and talk about it. But yeah, trust can be rebuilt. But it's going to take a long time. Usually it's time, the biggest factor, and how you're showing up when the trigger of the infidelity comes up, right? When someone texts you, or you go to the coffee shop where you took the affair partner, and your partner's like, I hate this place because it reminds me of her, right? So I think it's important to know that there's hope. You can definitely rebuild trust. It just takes a lot of commitment. Yeah.
So like also like there's a big portion of it was like with the Chris Rock thing. Did you see that thing whenever I went down?
Yeah, I did actually. I feel like I might have saw it live.
Yeah, there was a part, right? I think that he made a joke about Jada Pinkett, and then I think Will laugh, and then all of a sudden, like, she kind of gave him a look, and then Will reacted, right?
Yeah, I think that was a story. I heard a story like that.
I think I saw it.
Yeah. Okay.
Now maybe I'm just like tricking my brain.
I'm being careful because I don't want to because I don't remember it. But yeah.
Okay. Let's just make
Let's
it
just
say
that happened.
Let's just say it happened. Right.
Just rewrite our own narrative.
Let's see. Right. Yeah. So you are Jada. But like I think so. Okay. So have you ever experienced that or seen this with a couple where, we're almost like conditioned to protect and stand up for maybe our partner, right? But maybe our partner is wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's in my nature, and maybe it's the whole being a man is like I feel like I need to stand by your woman just like she would stand by her man, no matter how wrong he is or how wrong she is.
Yeah.
Is that like? Do you see that in couples a lot?
I wish personally, I wish I was like that, like a little more. I feel like I would have a natural tendency to call out my partner and be like, hey, you did this. But I don't like that in me because I feel like I think I would really, if I was my partner and I got called out, I would be like, man, why didn't you have my back, So, but do I see that in partners? Yeah, I think I feel like I can speak better about my own experiences with that. Like, I think there's been times where, like, my partner's been hit on. And these are times when I was not in a healthy place, right? Yeah. Where she's been hit on, or someone wants to buy her a drink, where I got really angry. And, I was like, man, like, screw this. I think it was less about protecting my partner. In that circumstances, it's completely different. And it was more about, like, man, I feel insecure right now, right? I don't think I've ever felt the need to stand up for my partner, maybe because I've never been in that situation where they've been attacked personally.
Yeah.
But I think my immediate reaction would be to actually probably hold my partner back and be like, hey, like, instead of standing up for them, like, calm them down, Yeah, but you said you would. You think you would like be protective if you were in a situation like that?
I think so. Yeah, I think that. I think that if I feel my partner is wrong, I would probably. I'm trying to think of like a situation where I like would react. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of
like in a situation like this where someone makes fun of your partner. Let's say like in a party. Like you're at a party and someone like cracks a joke and it hurts your partner's feelings.
Oh, I'd probably like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my, ride or die, This is like Bonnie and Clyde style, So like, and that's, I feel like it's not always that way, but I guess my role model relationships are Bonnie and Clyde. No, I guess it should be like you got each other's back, I don't want to say you can't co-sign every like bullshit all the time. And I think but I think a lot of times, at least I think in a significant other is like you're gonna support that. Yeah. You're gonna not support everything.
I admire that, honestly. Yeah, I think I would probably do that too. Yeah. But I would probably it'd take me a minute to process. Like, I don't know. Should I protect my partner? Should I not? Like, I would probably want to read the room a little bit, and then if she's like super hurt, then I'll probably be are you okay? And then I'd say something to that individual, but. Yeah. I wouldn't get as angry, I don't think.
Yeah. I'm ready to get crazy.
I know, yeah.
I might even do crazy eyes right now.
I'm telling you, dude, I admire that. Like, I feel like, I know that's a cool trait.
That's probably flawed in some ways, though, but it's also just like maybe that's idea of like, I don't know if it's like, I feel like maybe that's a personal attack against me, is like you would attack somebody so close to me. It's kind of like if somebody were to say something negative about like a family member or something, though. I can be very like protective of like, of my crew. Yeah. Like these are my people here, so I feel like I play that role sometimes of like protector, and that's once again probably all stuff that like I developed when I was young. It's just stuff like the idea of like if somebody is willing to be close with you and be loyal to you, there's almost like a sense of like I'll do whatever it takes to show you that I appreciate your loyalty. Yeah. But I know loyalty can be tricky. So
yeah, I think Will Smith's feelings and emotions they make sense. He got angry, he got pissed off, he wanted to protect. Like I get that, and I stand by him with that. But I think that the action was the wrong thing, right? Like the actually hitting somebody or cussing someone out or whatever, like that's where and
a lot of times too, I'll say in my mind like I probably there's an idea I was telling you right now of like when my wife went to the fantasy football draft, right? Oh yeah. And like people were talking smack, and then it's just a playful banter, but part of me wants to be like, I'll talk shit for you, I got you, you know. Like, but I think that's just maybe that's my own like ego, because it was my own fantasy football team that was sucking or whatever.
I like that we're talking about this, because when we talk about relationship norms, role models, like how to be, like I think if you are a person watching this, listening to this, and you do tend to react more like Jesse, where you're just very protective and you
crazy,
like I think that's okay. It's just like sit with those feelings, process them. Don't let them take over you and like get in a bar fight every single time.
Don't hit Chris Rock.
The guy is just doing his job, and maybe he went out of line, but like no one deserves to be hurt or hit.
So with that being said, I think we've kind of covered this whole this saga, the Smith saga, and really like talked about how relationships can be. And
yep, we good. We got it.
Cool.
If you have any questions about relationships, let us know, because I can help.
I cannot. Until next time.